Courtney Tillia, if you guys watched, Andrew Tate posted something. Courtney, do you want to express what happened? Do you want to describe?
Okay, so there's an article that came out about me in the UK on Friday, and it is, I am a former school teacher, if you didn't know, turned into OnlyFans. I am married. I have 4 kids. That's the very quick story. An article came out about me that says former teacher that God told me to be a Christian porn star. Okay, so this is my article. The story is true. If you read the story, it says that I do believe that I'm here to help women to release shame, judgment. I've been doing this for years. I do coaching. I help people to work through this. However, the media loves a great headline because it gets people to click. I never stated I was a Christian. Some articles say I'm Christian. Some say I'm Catholic. Anyway, this article came out on Friday, kind of died in the UK. It was whatever. On Monday, I'm on my way to Disneyland with my children. Oh, no. And my Google alerts are on fire. And I see that the New York Post has published an article about me that says the same headline. And then quickly see that Andrew Tate has retweeted it, stating that I or Christianity is the reason he has turned to Islam.
Yeah, so the tweet is actually, so Andrew, why did you turn to Islam? And then it was the article.
It's my article. It's me.
The woman who turned Andrew Tate Islam. I love anything that has to do with Andrew Tate. It's always so very interesting.
Yeah. And below that, we've got the pastor from 2020. I actually interviewed her husband on my show, but the pastoress, I guess, who decided that she didn't want to be married anymore, and she had 4 kids. I mean, just completely domestic, lifestyle. And I don't know how she got to be the pastor of this evangelical Christian church, but she went from that to being an OnlyFans model and getting into.
Wow.
Yeah, it's in the same tweet thread as yours is. It's another one that's okay. And so what happened with Candace Owens?
So the article
Candace,
has been a big fire, and Candace Owens published a video about me. I was also on the Breakfast Club. I've been on BET in the last 72 hours. And so Candace published a video about me saying that the real reason I left teaching was because of the money. Well, yes, that was a part of it. I've been honest about that from the beginning. Right. But also, there's so much more that goes into teaching. I've been on Dr. Phil. I've talked very openly about all of this.
You too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's a Republican speaker.
Declaration during an interview that, quote, God's message has been abundantly clear. I'm here to be a porn star.
Here
this is my way of
in the
serving.
studio. But she's a Republican speaker
Mother of 4, and she
who's very controversial.
But she found
I personally like Candace Owens.
That her spirituality was suffering as a result. What she really means to say is that she found that she wasn't making enough money. But says she's a proud Christian porn star and that God put her on this earth to enjoy sexual pleasure. She's 35 years old, and she made the declaration during an interview that, quote, God's message has been abundantly clear. I'm here to be a porn star. This is my way of serving. What's astonishing is that she's actually a mother of 4, and she previously worked as a high school teacher, but she found that her life lacked meaning, and that her spirituality was suffering as a result. What she really means to say is that she found that she wasn't making enough money.
Cool, is that it? Okay, awesome.
That was it.
For those of you in here who didn't hear it.
Let's give you a chance to respond to Miss Owens.
What would you like to say to Candace Owens?
I mean, honestly, there's so many things that are incorrect about this. She's gauging an entire thing off of one headline. And I'm like, if you actually got to know me, my story, my history, I have a bachelor's degree, I have a master's degree. I was a year away from my PhD when I was like, what am I doing? We know education doesn't pay well, but there's so many more aspects into it. I was emotionally and mentally in a very bad place, not just because of the finances, but the toll that the education system takes on human beings. And from there, I do really believe that I'm meant to help women to release shame and judgment. I think all of us, to some capacity, have experienced shame or judgment or been self-conscious about our bodies or questioned our own desires. And for everyone, that looks different. It could be something like I have helped clients where they're like, I don't feel comfortable wearing a crop top, or I don't feel comfortable wearing a swimsuit to the beach, or for people who are very extreme like me, who are like, my sexual desires, I feel that they're wrong. And so like I help people to work through that. So
Courtney, a couple things. When they say porn star, are you doing stuff with your husband on OF? I'm just going to ask that question. So you are doing guy-girl stuff.
I am doing porn.
Okay.
That's not a lie. I am a porn star.
I wasn't right. Okay, so can I believe your husband?
I am a porn star. I don't deny that. And here's my thing too. You can believe in God and you can have sex and you can watch porn and you can have sexual desires. I just don't believe that they have to be separate.
Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Of course you are. That's why we're all here.
It's usually my job.
All right, cool. So we'll do it again. Devil's advocate, obviously, you and I are friends. But the thing I want to say here is, so do you understand when, from his standpoint, because he didn't actually come after you. He actually just retweeted the thing and said, this
Andrew.
is why. Yeah,
okay,
Andrew did.
Yeah.
From his standpoint, it's not that, let's just say, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but just an overall argument might be, it's not that you're bad. It's that I may want to choose someone who isn't a porn star, who ascribes to the religion that I believe in, whether it is Islam or Christianity, and that person that I may want to have sex with hasn't had kids before, and I'm the first person to have kids with them, and hasn't been with a bunch of men, and hasn't done guy-girl porn. Does that make sense?
Sure, and you get to have that experience.
So that might be the devil's advocate reason for why he would post what he posted and why that was so viral.
Listen,
does that make sense?
Yes. I'm not mad about the post. Like, you get to have your preferences. I think, if anything, I agree that people get to have their preferences. Like, I've stood for that. And let me be clear, I am not doing guy-girl porn with a bunch of people. I do guy-girl porn with my husband that I've been with for 12 years.
See, that's where I think it's something that both of you are, more than okay with. It works for you. It works for your situation. It's what your husband obviously wants because he's still with you. You're still with him. So why is it anybody else's
Exactly.
Well,
Andrew fucking Spandrew, okay? His opinion on your life does not matter. This is your life and you get to do what you want. This is your life with your husband and you are a Christian and your relationship with God is your relationship with God, honey. And nobody gets to have an opinion on that.
The hype woman right here.
I feel like, yeah.
Well, Sam, here's an idea. They get to have an opinion, but she still has the freedom and agency to do whatever she wants.
And their opinion, they have a right to their opinion, but that is not a fact. Opinion is an opinion. It is not a fact.
Right. So maybe that's where the divergence happens, right? Because a man has a preference. Women express preferences all the time. CJ famously expressed the preference for a man worth $5 million, and that's who she wanted to marry.
Still working on it.
Up it to 10.
Talk about that after.
Pass it to the next.
When a woman expresses a preference for height, I don't like guys who are 5'11" or shorter or whatever, and a preference for money or a preference for an ethnicity, we don't shame women for those preferences. When men claim that they have the similar preferences,
I'm going to disagree with you because men shame women all the time. You just talked about how Andrew Tate shamed women for being with military.
But was he shaming?
For preferences.
Was he shaming women, or was he having a critique?
Why do we put
Christianity?
so much effort in caring about what people's opinions are? That's my
No. I'm playing devil's advocate. I understand what you're saying. My point is, when we go back to the whole thing is, what was the original point we were talking about?
We're talking about Christianity.
Yeah. So what Rollo said is it was a critique on Christianity.
It was a critique on religion.
No Christian is perfect. Jesus came and died on the cross because nobody is perfect.
Right.
We are all sinners.
Okay, so
everybody is a sinner. Right?
All right, got it. We sure are. Thank you. Welcome to Las Vegas.
Trey thought he left us back in Detroit.
Man. That's right. Okay. So the thing is, when you weren't shamed for expressing a preference.
I'm sorry.
When men express preferences, sometimes they are shamed publicly. And so the thing is, when women express preferences, there tends to be Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg being like, "You go, girl."
Point out that there was also another post right below that about the pastor the female pastor who I interviewed her husband. Right, the guy. It was back in 2020. Yeah, her ex-husband. Who had 4 kids. She was a pastor
She's a very good friend of mine.
And she decided to get into OnlyFans afterwards. And so that was a big story in I think 2020 is when that went down. And so I think it was less because we're talking about Andrew Tate of all people.
Yeah, I guess he feels like Christianity is now allowing things that he feels like don't line up with his personal values. So he went with Muslim because they don't allow the things that maybe don't line up with his personal values or
well, if you have
principles.
if you have a puritanical, like Old Testament view of Christianity, it doesn't line up with their values either. I'm not criticizing you.
Yeah, but it's modernized,
right,
very modernized.
Like it's very clear, like what it says in the book of Leviticus or the book of Romans about stuff like this. It's not unclear. The thing is, do we choose to have a very strict interpretation of the Bible or not? That's our decision. And he decided, well, Christians tend to have more liberal interpretation because they come from more egalitarian countries where women have more freedom, and in Islam they do not. And so that's the reason why he may have chose that sort of thing. The thing is, I don't think my main point that I never got to was the idea that a man having a preference or a woman having a preference is not misogyny or misandry. Right, that's where things where like a man having a preference is not misogyny, and that's where I think that there's an issue. I'm very much, if I had a sister who went and got 3 PhDs, I'd be very proud of her, but I'd also know she's going to have a tough time finding a husband. And it's very difficult for a lot of times for women to understand that, because it's like, while you having those PhDs may help you cure cancer, it's not going to necessarily make another man attracted to you. And that whenever we ask men, we tap thousands of surveys, Dr. David Buss has done these surveys, we find that men are not necessarily attracted to those things that women are attracted to. That's why the two genders are very different.
Well, it's like that Sterling Cooper was talking about one time when he was an escort. Then one of his clients was this super rich, like really rich woman. And she was like, I can only trust you, and I can only talk to you like about real shit, because she's like, I can't find guys. It's super lonely. I don't know who's after my money. I don't know. She told him, she's like, it's really lonely.